Today, we're diving into something called literal thinking, and we're going to figure out why sarcasm can sometimes feel like trying to understand a secret code everyone else already knows.
So picture this. Someone looks right at you and says that. The words are positive, but their tone, their face, it's all saying the exact opposite. And while everyone else around you just gets it and laughs, your brain hits this little freeze frame. You're suddenly running this super fast, totally manual calculation, trying to figure out what on earth they really mean.
If that little freeze sounds at all familiar, then you know this feeling. It's like you're constantly playing a social game where the rules are invisible, they're always changing, and you're somehow always just one step behind.
And that feeling of being just one step behind? Well, it can lead to some pretty painful misunderstandings. Because let's be honest, society can be really quick to judge that kind of hesitation.
You might get slapped with labels like slow, awkward, or, my favorite, lacks a sense of humor. It's because when someone says break a leg, you don't instantly translate that to good luck. For a split second, your brain might actually picture a broken leg. It's not about missing the humor, it's just a different way of processing the information.
And the real weight of all this comes from what happens over time. These aren't just one-off mistakes. These tiny, daily misunderstandings, they build up. They become this deep, really exhausting pain of feeling like you're constantly getting social interactions wrong and you can't even pinpoint why.
But here's the absolute most important part of this whole thing. You're not missing the joke because your brain is broken. No, you're missing it because your brain is running a totally different and honestly a highly advanced operating system. See, for most people, processing language is pretty much on autopilot. If somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I could eat a horse," their brain just gets it. It's hyperbole. It all happens in a fraction of a second with basically zero conscious effort. This chart just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got that autopilot system. On the right, you've got manual calculation. A literal thinker's brain starts with the exact, precise words that were spoken. Then, it has to consciously analyze the tone, the context, the facial expressions, all to figure out the real meaning. It is a ton of extra cognitive work. Okay, so what does all that extra work actually look like day to day? Well, it means you're basically in this constant, exhausting state of translation.
I mean, think about that for a second. You have to actively translate the language you were born speaking just to keep up with a conversation. To pull this off, a lot of literal thinkers develop this incredibly detailed mental map of idioms, sarcastic phrases, and metaphors, pretty much just to survive social situations.
You basically have to become a student of human interaction. You're building this map piece by piece. You memorize idioms, you analyze the specific vocal tone people use when they're joking, and you learn to spot nonverbal patterns. All so you can do that quick-fire translation in your head.
But here's the trap, right? Because this translation is a learned skill. It's not automatic. It takes time. And in a fast-paced group conversation, you're still processing. It's like your brain is buffering, trying to apply your mental map to some sarcastic comment, while everyone else has already moved on to the next topic. And the consequences of that little delay, they can be genuinely painful. It's the kid in class who takes a teacher's sarcastic remark completely at face value. Or it's the adult at work who follows instructions exactly as they were written, only to get chewed out later for not understanding what was actually meant.
Okay, but this is the turning point. This is the part of the story that most people, and honestly most explanations of this, completely miss. We have to reframe this whole idea.
So let's be crystal clear about this. Taking things literally is not a flaw. It's not a bug. It is your brain's fundamental wiring. And guess what? This wiring comes with some massive, often completely unrecognized strengths. Your brain is built to prioritize accuracy, truth, and precision. It prefers direct, clear communication over all the messy, ambiguous social games people play. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? There is a profound power in a mind that strips away all the fluff and demands to know what's literally true. You see the foundation, while other people are getting distracted by the decorations.
So the big question is, how do you actually harness this power? Well, it starts by completely changing your approach.
The suffering you might experience doesn't actually come from your literal thinking. Not at all. It comes from the friction, the constant struggle of trying to force a precision-engineered brain to operate in a world that's often messy and imprecise.
So just ask yourself this. What if you stopped fighting your own neurology? What if, instead of constantly trying to be like everyone else, you started to leverage the unique, incredible strengths of your own mind? This is where you can start to use a different kind of map.
Not a map for translating other people, but a map for understanding yourself. Once you get your own unique cognitive style, you can start building strategies and communication habits that really work for you, not against you. And that can reduce a ton of that social friction.
Always remember this. The way your mind works is not a bug. It is a feature. It's rare. It's precise. And it is profoundly capable of seeing the world with a kind of clarity that, frankly, most people will never get to experience.
So here's the real takeaway. Stop apologizing for how you see the world. Instead, start understanding your own mind, your own cognitive architecture, and build the systems around you that let you thrive. Because that is where you're going to find your real power.